Is It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, 7 p.m. I will call the city council meeting to order. Clerk Hebert, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Huckabee.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Lesko here.
Here.
Councilman Schultz.
Here.
President Jekyll.
Here. Thank you. Item 3, Pledge of Allegiance. I invite everybody to stand if willing and able. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item 4, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed items 4A through 4C.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, public hearings. 5A is a public hearing relating to the City of Fort Atkinson 2026 operating budget, 2026 capital improvements budget, and the 2027 through 2031 capital improvements plan. Manager Hausman, I'll let you give a presentation.
Thank you. Okay, so make sure I have the right mouse here. Okay, so the budget document was posted on the city's website on October 29th. There is a hard copy at the municipal building for review. The document, it's also included in the packet for tonight, includes the 2026 operating budget, the 2026 capital improvements budget, and the 2027 through 2031 capital improvements project plan. In addition to the numbers which guide our decision-making throughout the next year, the budget document also provides an opportunity to report about accomplishments in 2025, as well as identify the goals for 2026. So there is a public hearing tonight on this budget document. There is no action required by the city council tonight. So I'll just start by going over some of our accomplishments in 2025. So we completed the Public Works and Parks Operations Facility. That was a huge project. And we did complete that. We demolished the former facility. We held an open house. Over 80 people attended. So that was a really great accomplishment in 2025. We completed our Main Street and Janesville Avenue corridor plans. Right now we're working on those rectangular rapid flashing beacons that were outlined in that plan to be installed as soon as possible at Main and South Water, and then Janesville Avenue and Jones Park. We supported the Boost Fort Atkinson business competition. So we have Tidy Tails is in our downtown, and there's also additional funding left over in that allocation to support another business in 2026, or the reverse pitch competition. We completed a classification and compensation study. The council heard that report on the 21st of October. We've communicated to employees. We have another communication coming up for that, and we have a plan for implementation. And you can see the contract negotiations we went through this year. That was each of those was a large project, and I'm really proud of the work that we've done relating to those contract negotiations. So I really want to thank Chief Bump and Chief Peterson for their assistance in those three major contracts. We also continue to work with the DOT on our connecting highways. And then we completed our water main work and road work that was planned, McMillan Memorial, Amer, Kramer, and Eric, and of course our unplanned work on Mechanic Street that just was completed just this week. Also, we moved forward with our Ridgeview Estates subdivision. So it says we'll complete phase 1 of the public infrastructure. That infrastructure is complete as of, I believe, yesterday. The So that's really exciting. We're designing phase two. We broke ground on that 87 unit apartment building and the townhome project and single family dwellings up there. We also sold all 6 of those lots at our Maple Grove subdivision, and there's 2 housing starts there so far. The council extended TID 8 for 1 year and contributed over $1 million to the Affordable Housing Fund. And we continue to plan to for our borrowing for 2026 and 2027. We hired 9 new full-time staff members, not 9 new positions, just 9 people within existing positions, and we promoted 8 current full-time staff members to new positions. There were actually no retirements in 2025, so that is a big change from 24, where I think it was like 125 years of experience went out the door in 2024. So we didn't have any retirements in 25. I'll move on to goals. One of our goals with the 2026 budget is to change our garbage and recycling service. We have signed a new contract with John's Disposal. That service will begin on the 1st of the year. We also are proposing to move the charge for that from the property tax roll through the tax levy to a per customer charge on the tax, as a special charge on the tax bill. Of course, pending city council approval on that. So the new carts are planned to be delivered the last 2 to 3 weeks of December, and GFL will pick up those old carts after the last pickup in December. We're in communication with Johns and GFL. We have a whole list of frequently asked questions on our website. We update it almost daily, and we did set up an email address for folks to reach out to the city as well about this contract, and that's refuse@fortatkinsonwi.gov. So some of our goals for 2026 include creating the programs and policies to support the Affordable Housing Fund, planning and implementing that $6.9 million general obligation promissory note and starting some of those projects, implementing that classification and compensation study, which includes updating the employee manual and updating our internal performance review process. We intend to close TIDs 6 and 7 and create new TIDs in the Clement Business Park and downtown. And that note that 2.72% of EV in TIDs, that's 2.72% of our equalized value is in TIDs. We're allowed to go up to 12. So we do have a lot of space for additional tax increment districts in the coming years. We also hope to engage a consultant to assist with some strategic planning and then continue to loan out those funds through the Capital Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund. Our major road project for 2026 is the South Main Street Road Diet and Pedestrian and Bike Path, that is scheduled to start in early 2026. We continue to plan for the Highway 106 project, our additional water main work, and potential local road improvement program, LRIP projects. We will be working on some website revisions for ADA compliance, which is a requirement by early 2027, and maybe incorporating some artificial intelligence into the website to help with our search functionality. We also plan to prepare and present that 5-year operating budget projection and present an update on the city's comprehensive plan, as well as working with the town of Koshkonong on some potential for building inspection services and planning for Hackbarth Road. Okay, so the budget summary is on the next slide, and we'll get to that in just a minute, but I want to show this is an estimated 2025 mill rate. So that the chart there shows the mill rate per thousand of assessed value for the last 10 years, including that estimate for $7.17 for 2025. That is 29 cents less per thousand of assessed value than in 2024. I will note that we had a 9.3% increase in equalized value for 2025 and only a 0.07% increase in assessed value, which we'll talk about. We'll talk about the assessment ratio more in just a minute. I will note that the total tax levy is $9,344,051, which represents a 3.77% decrease from the 2024 total levy. So this budget does qualify for the expenditure restraint incentive program in 2027, and it's within the levy limits imposed by the state. I will also just note our net new construction in 2025 was a staggering 0.674%, which equated to a $40,000 in additional levy capacity. So being a little sarcastic there. Okay. So this is our budget summary. This is the same budget summary that was shared at the October 8th budget workshop meeting. You can see we have around $10.8 million in total general revenues and the same in total general expenditures. And then when you look towards the bottom portion, that is where you look at the levy. So that's the general levy property taxes. That's the same number that's up here, is down here. And then we have additional things that we use the levy for, including our debt service fund, transportation fund, the library fund, and then our capital improvements projects budget for 26. That gives us a total levy before the TIDS of just over $9 million. And after the TIDS, it's that $9,344,051 number that was on the previous screen. So this is the $10.8 million in our 2026 general fund revenues. You can see that property taxes pay for 52% of that, with intergovernmental revenues at 26%. The public charges for service, this is 9% of the budget. That includes our school resource officer payment from the school district, street maintenance, our water utility pays back the general fund for breaks like Mechanic Street, aquatic center entry fees, as well as our town payments for our fire service. Commercial revenues includes interest, rental of city property, sale of city property, that's in that. And then regulation and compliance is licenses, building permits, parking violations, municipal court citations. And then this other taxes down here, that is a pilot, which is a payment in lieu of taxes that our water utility pays to the general fund annually. I want to point out here that our reliance on property taxes is decreasing over time. You can see it's 52% in 2026. It was 65% in 2023. So just in 3 years' time, we've been able to diversify our revenue sources a bit and not be as reliant on property taxes. Part of that is from the additional payments from the state that are in that intergovernmental revenue bucket, which includes shared revenue and transportation aid. And then we also, the 2026 budget, the 2025 budget as compared to the 2024 budget had a percentage increase small enough to qualify for that ERIP, or the expenditure restraint program. So that was an extra $226,000 that we have for intergovernmental revenues in 2026. Moving on to those general fund expenditures, we have 50% in public safety, and then it goes down from there, 17% in public works, 16% in culture and recreation, and general government is 9%. Conservation and development, public service enterprises, those are all accounted for here. So again, this is our general fund expenditures. This chart is our general fund revenue chart that includes all of our property tax revenues, as well as our other the other revenues as a percentage of the total. So you can see this one shows property taxes at 63%, but again, that has decreased over time. In 2023, that was at 69%. And then this is our general fund expenditure chart, including all of those levied funds without the TIDS. And you can see where everything stacks up there. So the difference in that chart and the one that I showed just a couple minutes ago is it includes that debt service, transportation fund, library, and CIP levies. So in comparing from last year, we have our general property taxes decreased, our debt service fund increased, transportation fund stayed the same, library went up 2%, and then our capital improvement project budget did go up a little bit, 47% at almost 250,000. And that gives us a negative 0.26% decrease from 2025, but when you add in the TIDs, then it becomes a negative almost 4% decrease from the year prior, and that is because we closed TID 8. And so this shows the tax levy summary. So of all of the property taxes that the city receives, this is including the TIDs, this is where it goes. So you can see the TIDs make up 3% of property taxes, whereas I think last year it was closer to 6 or 7%. Okay. From the October 8th workshop, I did provide 2 estimates of mill rates. And they're right there. I provided a couple estimates based on what I thought would happen with the assessed value. Obviously, one was a little closer than the other, but the closest estimate we have right now is that 7.171 per thousand of assessed value. And I'm sorry that you can't see this very well, but this just shows the potential difference in the city portion of the property tax bill that you will receive. So we've got values on this side. Again, I apologize that that's not all that visible. I can tell you that the average assessment for a single family detached residence in the city is $238,938. So if somebody owns a property assessed at that value, then they would see a decrease of about $69 on the city's portion of the tax bill. And this does not include, obviously it's just the city's portion. It doesn't include the tech college, the county, and the school district. And it also doesn't include the school levy tax credit. So we get that information right at the end of this budgeting process. And then that typically decreases the entire property tax bill by about $2 per thousand in value. So the tech colleges did certify. They had about a 3% increase. The school district has certified, and they have about a 0.73%, so sub 1% increase in their tax levy. And then the county is intending to certify, I believe, next week. So the assessment ratio is important for a number of reasons. State statutes dictate that our assessment ratio, meaning our the comparison of our assessed value to our equalized value, needs to be between 90 and 110% to be compliant with state statutes. So this is our 2025 assessed value is still an estimate right now, but it's a very close estimate at about $1.3 billion, excuse me, and our 2025 equalized value is $1.5 billion. And that represents, like I said before, a 9% increase in equalized value. But unfortunately, it hurts our assessment ratio, and it puts that down to 83.76%. You can see on the chart that in 2023, we did have an interim market update that got us in compliance at 97.5. And then over the last 2 years, we've fallen again out of compliance. 2026 does bring, with this budget, it brings a new 5-year full value maintenance contract with our assessor, meaning that in 26 through 2030, we will be compliant with state statutes. Our contract will, the assessors will do enough market adjustments and full value maintenance to our roles that we will be in compliance for those 5 years. However, we will need a full reevaluation in 2030. So we will start to plan ahead for that, but that could be Our estimate in 2026 for full value maintenance was about $275,000. So by 2030, we would probably be looking at $300,000 to $350,000 for that. Okay, moving on to our full-time employees. We have, I put both of these up. The one is the chart from last year, and then the one on the right is the chart for this year. And the reason I did is because we made a couple changes to departments. We have our Public Works Administration, formerly engineering, and then our building, neighborhood and building services, which is formerly the Building Inspection Division and Electrical Division. So we are proposing one new position in 2026, and that is the position of Building and Facilities Manager. And that position, we do intend to provide oversight to all of our many facilities, to let our department heads be department heads and let somebody who manages facilities professionally manage those. Okay. Moving on to our debt payment summary. So in the budget document, if you turn to Fund 4, it outlines all of our debt service for the next 20 years. This table is just a summary of our payments in 2026. So you can see that that 2,097,000 number, that is the same number that's back, when we look at that summary table, that's the same number that's in that summary table. That's our debt service levy, general fund supported debt service. Our total debt payable in 2026 is this $4 million number. And the difference is paid for by, all these funds here. So at the workshop, we did receive the question, how long have we borrowed just every other year? And you can see it really started in 22. So we did 22, 24, and we'll do 26 and 28. And then these were more project-based. So we did some refunding bonds in 15. And then we purchased a fire truck, and borrowed for it in 17. And then did some more GO, general obligation, in 18, and then two different ones in 19, and three different in 2021. So we have really made an effort to consolidate our borrowing to once every other year, even though we do have the ability and the capacity to borrow for specific programs or projects if the council so chooses. We'll talk a little bit more about borrowing capacity later in this presentation as well. Okay, so this slide summarizes the funding sources for our 2026 capital improvements budget. So total requested in 26 was just over $6 million. We're planning to fund all of that except for about 120,000 worth of projects that were pushed to a future CIP. All this information plus every single program, capital purchase, et cetera, are all included in section R in the budget document, along with a description of the project. So these are the funding sources, right? So we levy funds for capital improvements. You can see that number is about 246,000. We have funds that we're borrowing for CIP projects. We have our transportation fund, TID 9, the CARES Act funding that's associated with the airport. We have some funds coming from the Library Trust for library capital projects. The Museum Trust is going to pay for that new roof that's needed at the museum. And then our utilities also pay for their capital projects. The major projects we're doing in 2026 include that strategic planning that I talked about before, the Affordable Housing Fund program and policy, our Banker Road relocation design and Ridgeview Estates Phase 2, our South Main Street pedestrian path with our water main work and road improvements, and then facility planning and improvements, purchasing of vehicles and equipment. For example, we have a bucket truck for our electrical department. We have a fire department, ambulance and battalion vehicle, a library sorting machine, election material upgrades. We have aquatic center improvements planned. All of those things were presented during our workshop, and they are outlined in that 2026 CIP document. So this is our 2026, 2027 proposed borrowing. All the projects are on the left. Then the year the funds are needed is the next column. Moving to the right, you see 26 and 27. We do try to plan ahead. And then the term. So the term is, road projects we can borrow for 20 years, but like equipment, we would only want to borrow for 10 years. So our financial advisors assist us in putting this all together and then making sure those items are paid off within the first 10 years of the borrowing. So our plan is twofold in 2026. We have 3.4 million for the 2026-27 CIP, and then we have 3.5 million in TID refinancing. So back in 2024, we borrowed $3.5 million for the Banker Road first phase of the Banker Road infrastructure. That we knew we would have to refinance that anticipation note with capitalized interest, and that first debt service payment will be in 2027. So we wanted to combine these. We could have probably waited another 6 or 8 months past completing this borrowing to refinance this 3.5 number. However, our financial advisors anticipate that we will receive a lower rate on the refinancing piece than what we're paying right now on the note anticipation note, and the short-term rates have come down since 2024. Combining these together does create some efficiencies and better rates because more debt is packaged together. Our financial advisors from Baird will be here on December 2nd to discuss the borrowing and set parameters and discuss the city's debt capacity as well. This chart I know is not very readable, but I think I'll just kind of explain it and you can get the gist. That shows all of the black bars are the city's existing outstanding debt. The 2026 GO promissory notes are in blue, and then hypothetical future debt, $3 million every other year, is in the tan, and then remaining borrowing capacity is in gray. So as our equalized value continues to increase, our borrowing capacity also increases. And I did note that it was a 9% increase in equalized value from 24 to 25. Back in 2019, the equalized value of the city was $994 million. And in 25, that value is now $1.5 billion. So that is just about a 50% increase in equalized value in the city over about 6 years. To show this in another way, this is our 2025 equalized value. The state limits each municipality to borrow at most 5% of their equalized value. $77 million is that number. The city further limits by a policy set by the council, limits us to 60% of that state limit of value, and so that is $46 million. So our debt, assuming that we have this debt in 2026, we would be at $33 million, which is 72% of the city's borrowing capacity with those notes, and then at 43% of the state borrowing capacity. Okay, so additional budget information that we are waiting for. We still need the requested levy amounts from Jefferson County. When I get those, I'll be able to put together all those tables that you typically see in this, showing the differences between the mill rate from last year and this year's mill rate. So I'll put all those things together coming up for the November 18th presentation of the proposed budget. We'll also get the final TID increment and we'll be able to finish out those budgets. And then just general editing and cleanup of the budget document, and that will come before the council, as I said, on November 18th. Okay, so I can always be reached by phone or by email. The council president is welcome to open the public hearing at this time. And then I'm happy to answer questions from the council after that public hearing. And again, no action is necessary tonight by the city council.
All right, I will, with that being said, I'll open and ask for anybody to come up for the public hearing. I believe John House sign or would request first.
John House, 104 Jefferson Street, Fort Atkinson. Well, that's quite a wish list I read, 295 pages. Couple things. A question I have is the new 150 pickup truck. Looks like it's for the park and rec. Is that being purchased to replace the one that was sitting out at the swimming pool for 4 months last winter? It's almost like it's not being used. Don't know. Next thing I want to bring up is I would really like some information on that Koshkin Estate subdivision. I thought I read in there that we spent $98,000 already on consultation, and there's been some drilling. I'd like to see those reports. I mean, and I still have the pragmatis issues out there, and I also have the leaching of the sand and sediment that's going into my marsh.
That's
And I'm really confused on this building facilities manager. I don't see where that needs to be. The people that are running their departments walk by a building. I mean, they're smart enough and they should be able to handle that portion of their job. And I guess that's it at this. Oh, yeah, the next one I will hitch on the next round. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron, you had something on the budget?
Hi, Ron Martin, 409 Native Drive in Fort. I just, the budget is a lot to absorb in this forum and this amount of time. I guess I would like some clarification because you mentioned contract settlements with some of the city employees. And I would be interested to know for the 26 budget, what, if any, are the pay increases going to the city employees? And is it, I think last year was like a 4.4% increase across the board. Are we looking at something similar for next year? And then I would also ask the council to hold a public hearing with all of the department heads present to discuss the wish list purchases and get more clarification on how or if those would be included in the 26 budget or budgets for future years. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to provide public input for the budget? There's anybody on Zoom, now would be your chance to make one final call here for the public comment. I will close out public comment. City manager, if you have any input you would like to put back, I'll allow you to.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. I believe the replacement of the truck is outlined in the budget document, which truck it is replacing. So I cannot speak to where that particular truck was stored, but I can, let's see if I can get to that easily. I can tell you what it is replacing. Okay, that is retiring a, let's see, a 1999 flatbread truck that we use that for hauling. And it has a dump body to use for minimizing overloading the other trucks and maximizing safety when hauling equipment and materials and salt and gravel. So it is a replacement of a truck from 1999. The Kashkanan Estates, we will be having a workshop with the council and the public on on December 5th. We have indicated that much so far to the affected property owners and do plan to send a public notice out prior to, December 3rd. We do plan to send that public notice out about a week in advance of that meeting. The building and facilities manager position is something that we have discussed for many budgets. And I will say that we do have an excellent management team that does and has taken care of their facilities, but there also have been pretty significant things that have been overlooked due to, for example, our museum director not being also a facilities manager, right? So there's some things that we don't exactly know how to plan for. So that this facilities manager position will assist all of our department heads with planning for future maintenance to be able to keep our buildings and facilities in good shape so that we don't end up in a position like we did with our public works facility where it was not maintained for decades, and then we had to spend $13 million to build a new one. The contract settlements, those are both public documents, so if anybody wants to see them, they're welcome to email us and ask for those. I don't have exact pay increases for either the fire and the EMS fire and EMS or police, because we added a step and we changed the structure. So it impacted different employees differently. So I don't have an exact number for either of those. For the general city employees, I will say for non-represented city employees, they will be receiving a 6% raise in 2026. And that is based on implementation of our classification and compensation study. As that study, which was presented to the city council and the finance committee, found that our city employees were paid at about 45% of the median of our comps in the area. So that document is also a public record and included in multiple packets of information that are on the city's website. I'm happy to answer any questions from the city council.
I've gotten quite a few inquiries on the new full-time position for the facility maintenance. And if that's really a full-time requirement for that position, and also if that was part of the compensation plan for department heads, is there an adjustment there or new responsibilities given to the department heads to make up for that?
The facilities management portion of the management team's job descriptions. So they are still in those job descriptions right now, and that's what the class and comp was based on, was those job responsibilities included. However, I will also say that that piece of their job doesn't translate into making them paid more. It's just another piece of their job. So if you looked at a comparison police chief position for the city of Fort Atkinson, and you compared that job description for a police chief in a similar sized city that maybe they don't have their own facility, their pay would be equivalent. Right. I mean, so it's not, it is in their job descriptions. We currently don't have that position filled. We haven't finalized that job description yet. But when we do, and when we update the department heads who have facilities, when we update their job descriptions, those responsibilities would be removed, but there would not be a pay decrease for that.
Okay, so I think the other thing that might help educate the people that have come to me is specifically what that position is going to do. I mean, is it putting into place schedules for checking things? You know, is it going to be labor intensive on the front end, but then just a process that's in place that I'm having a hard time seeing it as a full-time position.
Well,
Mhm.
I think that we don't have that person in place yet. That person will be uh, will have a period of time to figure out what the job is, right? We do have a draft job description for that job, so it's not like we have a draft. It is in one of the packets, I believe, a finance committee packet from earlier this summer. We will advertise that job, and the person who we put into place will go through the job description, do the job, and if we find in the future that it is not full-time, I'm sure there are many, many other responsibilities that can be shifted to a person in that role to round out their job to make sure that continues to be a full-time job.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we have most of our,
Feels like it might be more prudent to start with part-time and move them up to full-time if the need is there.
I mean, I think that the piece that is under my purview as the city manager is what that job is and what responsibilities of that role. And the purview of the city council is whether or not you include that in the budget.
Okay, and then the other thing that's come to me since our budget workshop from several folks has been if there's a plan to decrease our dependency on the financing every other year.
No, there's not a plan to decrease that dependency. There are multiple, as you can see from the 27 through 31 capital improvement plan. Their equipment is not getting cheaper, and it doesn't have to be replaced less often. So no, I don't see a path where we would be borrowing less in the future.
Thank you.
With respect to the 6% salary increase, would it be fair to say that for many years prior to that, like the 1%, 2%, multiple years of 2%, that we fell behind the market even for municipal workforce, and that this was the right time to, one, conduct a compensation and classification study, and then have the ability to respond to it in a meaningful way?
Yes, I think at one of the previous budget meetings, I had a slide that showed the private sector wage increases over the last 10 years versus the city of Fort Atkinson wage increases over the last 10 years. And the difference was twice as much, right? So the private sector increase in Jefferson County over the last 10 years on average was just over 40% year over year. And the city in that 10 years, same 10 years, was 20% year over year. So over 10 years, it was a total of 20% increase, whereas the private sector was 40. And not that anybody in this field compares themselves to the private sector. We don't. It was a data point. The class and compensation study showed us through comparable data with our communities that are like the city of Fort Atkinson, not just in population, but in other metrics, showed us that we were significantly underpaid. And so this implementation of the classification and compensation study, it was more than just a 6% increase. It changed the structure of our compensation plan from a step increase to broad ranges of pay for each position, which will allow employees, if they choose to stay here and if they perform well, to continue to receive pay increases to have comparable pay to those communities around us.
Any other council input on the budget?
Yeah, just questions of confirmation. When we talk about debt service, just being clear that that also includes like paying off the principal, not just the interest.
Correct.
Okay. Um, the next question I have on the 2026 proposed borrowing, just confirming that I think it's somewhere around $6 or $6.5 million borrowing. But when you talk about refinancing TID9, that means we're paying that off. So the net change to borrowing would be closer to 3.5 million.
Right. The impact on the general fund is really just about 3 million because 500,000 of dollars of that will be paid back through the water utility for a water main project. Is scheduled for 2027. And then that other 3.5 million is being refinanced, but will be paid back through TID number 9. So really, it's only the 3 million that affects the general fund.
Thank you. Last question, as we talk about making sure that our assessment values are in line with state statute, generally the comments that we see from the public are that if my house gets assessed 20% higher, that does not mean the city gets to collect more taxes. The tax levy cannot go up based on reassessment, like these reassessment processes. It is just to make sure that the value that we're stating our houses are generally in line with state statute.
Correct. Right. We have levy limits, so we don't, it's not some sort of a windfall when assessments go up. It just means the mill rate goes down. And you can see that in the table that I had in the budget presentation, that the mill rate decreased significantly after that last interim market update. And I would anticipate in 2030, with the revaluation that will need to occur, that the same thing will happen. The mill rate will decrease, but overall taxes will remain generally the same as they did in 2023 with that interim market update.
All right, thank you.
I don't have any further questions for you, but I would like to say that I think that that the administration and department heads have done a really good job of bringing forward a really responsible budget that helps us maintain service levels, retain talented staff. It gets us back in qualifying with a expenditure restraint program. And it does that while reducing the tax levy. Now, part of that is the removal of the garbage and tax or garbage and recycling fee, but we also knew that that we had to do something different there. Like we were getting complaints on the service levels, so hopefully that is an additional way we can improve service levels as well. So I know we'll have 2 weeks. We'll have more reflection on the budget, but I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and it's a solid document.
Thank you.
One last point. You made a comment when discussing the Department of Public Works and the facilities manager. I think we also sold ourselves short that like those buildings were just old and did not meet, like, I think there's some ADA compliance issues. There's only a bathroom for men, not women. And there's some other things like asbestos, other issues with that site that just come with being 50, 60, 70 years old based on which building on that site was there. I wouldn't necessarily say it was the lack of a facilities manager, which is why we need a new DPW. One thing just for the public is I recall just to maintain the HVAC and some other utilities on that site would have been $5 million. So although we spent 13 on the new DPW, we got a brand new building for about $8 million in theory, right? Because we would have probably had to spend that 5 just to keep that site limping along anyway. And now we have a building that should last us for 50 years, not a question mark. So anyway, I still stand by the decision for that new DPW building. I think it was still the right financial choice for the city in the long run.
There's no further comment. I will say we move on to the next items then. Item 6, public comment for matters on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from any city resident. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon. Name, address, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments unless listed elsewhere on the agenda. Those of you following on Zoom, if you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand as the chat box is not monitored, and those on Zoom must remain muted unless recognized to speak. I believe the way this was listed, those signed up in person spoke during the public comment on the budget. So if there's anyone on Zoom that wishes to speak for any of the other items on the agenda. Seeing none, I will move on. Item 7, petitions, requests, and communications. Tonight we have none. Item 8, resolutions and ordinances. Tonight we have none. 9 is reports of officers, boards, and committees. 9A is the city manager's report. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. I attended the Rural Rally event put on by Habitat for Humanity of Waukesha, Jefferson, and Rock counties last week. We look forward to scheduling a city build soon at the duplex on Schumacher Way and additional partnerships with Habitat, which may include a rehab program, which I look forward to. I attended the Fort Atkinson Fall Festival on November 1st. I want to thank everyone who organized, volunteered, and participated in that event, and hopefully we'll see it again next year with less rain, hopefully. I attended the opening reception of the Black Hawk Artists annual show at the museum on November 2nd. The art show will continue during regular museum hours through November 20th. And this Friday, November 7th, the Black Hawk Artists will be hosting a gallery walk from 4:30 to 5:30 for museum members and from 5:30 to 6:30 for the public. The event and visiting the show is free. The art is not, but it does make a lovely holiday gift. A few of our unplanned projects are complete or nearing completion. The Senior Center roof project was completed in October. The Mechanic Street water main work and pavement replacement are complete, and the emergency storm sewer repairs on Milwaukee Avenue West are expected to be complete by the end of the week. The last stretch of Marigold, as I mentioned before, has received binder course, which wraps up the initial construction of roads and public utilities for the first phase of the Ridgeview Estates subdivision. Flag football and junior POMS programming is now complete with more than 110 participants in grades kindergarten through third. And our Parks and Recreation staff are now switching gears to support the volleyball, dance, and basketball programming. And just to note, there are 239 registered dancers for that program, which continues to be very successful. The library and the museum both installed temporary food pantries in their entryways to help our neighbors. The food pantries will be available during the library and museum regular office hours and are open to all. Both pantries will be stacked with food donated by staff, volunteers, and others. Drop-offs are also appreciated, and those food pantries will be in place until the SNAP benefits and other sources of food assistance are available again. And at that time, any remaining food will be donated to the Fort Atkinson Food Pantry. I just want to note for the public that the Department of Motor Vehicles will only be in Fort Atkinson on Thursday, November 13th due to Thanksgiving, and Thursday, December 11th due to Christmas. The DMV is open Monday through Friday in Madison and Janesville, excluding holidays. The TDS fiber project is back on in Fort Atkinson with TDS and their subcontractors performing construction work within the public rights of way and within utility easements throughout various neighborhoods in the coming weeks, starting in the area south of Commonwealth Drive tomorrow. For questions about their work or restoration of disturbed areas, we'll ask that you reach out to TDS directly, and their contact information is on the city's website. I want to thank everybody who participated in the budget and capital improvement public hearing tonight. The final proposed budget will be presented to City Council on the 18th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to item 10, unfinished business. Tonight we have none. Item 11, new business. 11A is review and possible action relating to an extraterritorial certified survey map for the property located at N3093 County Road K, CSM of 205 or 2025-12. Building Director Drager.
Yes, thank you. Just for reference, this is up near the airport, along the river there. This is a proposal for a CSM to combine two parcels, 1.06 acre single family lot and a nearly half acre lot that's currently zoned A1 agricultural. There is a conditional use that was granted by the county and the township that would allow for a accessory building to be built on this site after these lots are combined. One thing that came up during review is a lack of dedication for the public road in front. After, I think you'll remember in a previous CSM that came forward that was recommended to waive that waive that requirement. I went further into this and spoke personally with the county surveyor and got reference some Wisconsin statutes that that further explained that that road would not require dedication because of the length of time that it has been a public road. And also that the county would only ask for dedication in situations where perhaps a grade would need to be changed in the area and they would need a larger right of way established. So with that, there's no financial analysis. And with that, the Plan Commission reviewed the certified survey map on October 28th and recommended the city council waive the requirement for the road dedication and approve the certified survey map. And staff recommends the same. I welcome any questions. I also note that it is not in our long-range planning.
I move to approve the extraterritorial certified survey map for the property located at N 3093 County Road K.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 12, miscellaneous. Tonight we have none. Item 13, public comment for matters not on the agenda. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following for record: name, address, and subject matter and contact info. No action will be taken on any public comment. Same goes again for those on Zoom. If you wish to speak, please raise your virtual hand and we will be called upon. Tonight we had John House signed up for this portion again.
John House, 104 Jefferson Street, Fort Atkinson. On November 11th, from 1 until 4 in Milwaukee, at the Haven Woods Awareness Center, there is a seminar for invasive species. I have a van I can fit 8 in, so any one of you folks are welcome to go along. I'll even buy the pizza. So I'm going there to get some ideas on what we can do to combat what we've got going out in the Koshkonong Estates. And my Alzheimer's kind of struck me a little bit here. I needed to get up at the last, when you called for other people. Can I ask a question? Did that car wash land ever get signed at 50 cents a square foot, or
That's on record for the last meeting. It did go through.
it did go through at
It was
$1.50?
$1.50.
$1.50, yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Just didn't see it. Thank you.
This will be a call for anyone on Zoom wishing to speak. Second call. Close public comment. Item 14, claims, appropriations, and contract payments. 14A is review and possible action relating to the verified claims as presented by the Director of Finance and authorized payment.
I move to approve the verified claims as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? There's a roll call vote.
Councilman Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilman Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Jekyll.
Aye. Motion carries. 15 is closed session. The city council may consider a motion to convene into closed session pursuant to state statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session.
I move to convene in closed session pursuant to state statute section 19.851E to deliberate or negotiate the purchasing of public properties where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session.
Second. This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Huckabee,
Aye.
Councilman Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Lesko Hair,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Jekyll.
Aye, motion carries. We will be in closed session. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. We are back in open session. Motion is second. All those in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.